Okay, everyone, get ready, because today we are diving deep, literally deep into the dirt
Into the dirt, all right?
with a company that wants to change how we think about, well, trash.
Hmm?
We're talking about packaging.
Hmm.
Yeah, all that stuff that we usually just try to, ignore as it piles up in the recycling bin,
I would say the
hopefully,
recycling bin.
or the landfill, if we're being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
But what if packaging wasn't the enemy? What if it could actually help, like actually heal the planet?
Yeah, that's a thought, isn't it?
That's what we're digging into today. We've got a whole stack of sources here, all about Beyond Sustainable and their big idea, biochar.
Right, and just to give everyone a little context, we're looking at their patent applications, some research articles, even a couple of interviews with their CEO.
Yeah, we did our homework.
We did.
And I got to say, I'm so excited about this company. Like, their whole approach is just so radical.
It really is. They're basically flipping the script on how we think about packaging.
Flipping the script. That's a good way to put it. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of, how it all works, like what even IS biochar, can we just acknowledge the problem that they're trying to solve? I mean, packaging, it's a mess, right?
It is a mess. Beyond sustainable, they don't sugarcoat it in their materials at all. They lay out all the stark facts: plastic pollution, food waste, soil degradation,
It's all connected.
all connected. And it all goes back to this kind of linear take, make, disperse model that we're stuck in.
It's like a system designed to fail, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And okay, I'm going to get a little personal here. It makes me think about like the lettuce in my fridge that goes bad after like 2 days, or those like forever chemicals that keep popping up in the news.
Yeah, those PFAS chemicals, they're in everything these days.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
It is, but that's why what Beyond Sustainable is doing is so important. They're offering a real alternative, a way to actually break free from this cycle of waste.
So let's get to the good stuff. Tell us about biochar. What is it exactly, and how does it solve all these problems?
Okay, biochar. It's basically like this super powered charcoal.
Charcoal, like for grilling.
Kind of, but it's made from organic waste. So things like wood chips, crop residues, even, food scraps.
Wait, so we're talking about turning trash into treasure here.
Exactly. Okay, I'm listening. But here's the thing that makes Beyond Sustainable's approach so unique. They're customizing the biochar for each specific type of packaging they create.
So it's not just one size fits all biochar.
Nope, definitely not. They're tailoring the recipe, you could say, depending on what it's going to be used for.
Huh. That's super interesting. So tell me more about that. Like, how does that customizing thing even work?
Well, you have to remember biochar has some pretty incredible properties. It can regulate humidity.
So, like, keep things fresh.
Exactly. It also has antibacterial properties.
No more moldy strawberries.
Hopefully not. And it can even capture those harmful chemicals we talked about earlier, those PFAS things.
Seriously, it can suck those up.
Like a sponge, pretty much. And because Beyond Sustainable is tailoring the biochar so precisely, they can fine-tune those properties for each application.
So it's not just about, like, containing the food, it's about actively protecting it, too.
Exactly. And then the really cool part is once you're done with the packaging, you can just compost it.
Wait, so I'm picturing this, right? I get my groceries, they're in these, like, awesome biochar containers.
Right.
And then I just, like, toss the container in my compost bin.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's it. It breaks down, adds nutrients to the soil,
My mind is officially blown.
and it doesn't end up in a landfill.
This almost sounds too good to be true, but before we get, like, completely lost in this biochar utopia, we got to talk about the big one, right?
You're talking about carbon?
Carbon,
Mm.
climate change, the whole shebang. Beyond Sustainable is making some pretty big claims about how biochar can help with all that.
They are, and they've got the research to back it up. One of the most amazing things about biochar is its ability to, trap carbon. So instead of that carbon going up into the atmosphere, it gets locked away in the soil, potentially for, thousands of years.
Thousands of years.
It's crazy, right?
So every time I choose a biochar container over a regular plastic one, I'm, like, actually helping to fight climate change.
Exactly. It's about more than just reducing harm. It's about actually healing the planet.
Okay, I am officially on board with this whole biochar revolution. But, there's always a but, isn't there?
There is always a but.
Like, is this stuff really scalable? Can they actually make enough biochar to, like, make a dent in all these global problems? And what about people who don't have a compost bin? Like, where does all that biochar packaging go? We've got a lot more to unpack here, so stick around for part 2 of this deep dive where we'll tackle all those questions and more. Okay, so last time we left off with, like, a million questions about biochar.
Yeah, it's one thing to talk about, like, the amazing potential and all that, but
But making it actually happen in the real world.
exactly. That's where things get tricky, right?
Exactly. So let's talk about scale. Like, can they actually produce enough of this stuff to, like, replace all the plastic packaging out there?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And beyond sustainable, to their credit, they address this head on in their materials. They're not, pretending it's going to be easy.
They know it's a big challenge.
Huge challenge.
Yeah.
Scaling up production to meet global demand, it's it's a massive undertaking. Think about all the resources you would need, the infrastructure, the coordination.
Yeah, my head's already spinning.
And then there's the whole issue of like feedstock. You need a consistent supply of organic waste to make biochar. Where's all that going to come from?
Right. It's not like we have a shortage of trash, but
But it needs to be the right kind of trash, and it needs to be like collected and processed efficiently.
okay, so it's complicated.
Very complicated.
But beyond sustainable, I mean, they must have some ideas about how to make this work, right?
They do. And one of their key strategies is partnerships. They're working with like municipal composting programs.
So my city government could be part of this.
Exactly. Also community gardens, landscaping companies, anyone who's, already dealing with organic
So
waste.
even if I don't have a compost bin at home, my biochar packaging could still end up, doing some good.
Exactly. And they're also looking at ways to like reuse the biochar. So even if it doesn't end up in someone's garden, it could become, building material or water filtration media.
So many possibilities.
It's really exciting stuff. And then there's the whole question of like standardization. Different types of biochar have different properties, right?
Hmm.
So you need to have like clear industry standards to make sure everything is, high quality and it's going to perform the way it's supposed to.
So it's not just as easy as saying like, hey, everyone, use biochar. There's a lot more to it.
There's a lot of groundwork to be laid.
But even with all those challenges, it feels like beyond sustainable is really onto something here.
I think so too. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And they're not just talking about it, they're actually doing it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They've got pilot projects, they're doing research, they're collaborating with all sorts of, organizations and experts.
So it's not just a pipe dream. It's like,
It's a work in progress, definitely, but it's moving forward.
that's really encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears a little bit. We've talked a lot about like how biochar is made and all the challenges and stuff. But but what about the impact? Like, what does this actually look like in the real world?
Well, one of the most exciting areas where biochar is already making a difference is like soil remediation.
Okay, what's that?
Basically, it's using biochar to like clean up contaminated soil.
Oh, like from pollution and stuff.
Exactly. And there's a really cool project in the Amazon rainforest where they're using biochar to like restore degraded land and improve agricultural yields.
So it's not just a theoretical solution. It's like,
It's happening right now.
that's so cool. And what about carbon capture? We talked about that earlier.
Right. So beyond sustainable, they're not just focusing on like individual compost bins.
Right.
They're also working on large scale carbon sequestration projects
Yeah.
using biochar to, pull carbon out of the atmosphere and lock it away in the soil.
So this is like climate action on a massive scale.
Exactly. And it ties into their whole vision of, going beyond sustainability to actually regenerating the planet.
That's a pretty bold vision.
It is
Yeah.
bold. And, there are still a lot of questions to be answered and challenges to overcome. But I think
But it's worth exploring.
definitely worth exploring. And I think the most important thing is that they're not just sitting back and, waiting for someone else to solve these
They're
problems.
taking action.
They're taking action. They're putting in the hard work, the research, the collaboration. They're really trying to make a difference.
I like that. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have to ask,
Yeah.
what does all this mean for us, the listeners?
That's the question, isn't it? Like, how do we fit into this whole biochar revolution?
Exactly. What can we actually do to support this movement, this change? That's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. So stay tuned. We're about to get really practical. Okay, so we've talked a lot about biochar, how it's made, the challenges, the potential. But now I want to like bring it back down to earth a little bit.
Back down to earth, all right?
Yeah, because I think some listeners might be wondering, okay, all this sounds amazing, but like, what can I actually do about it?
That's a great question. And the good news is you don't have to, be a scientist or a CEO to make a difference.
Right, like I'm not building a biochar factory in my backyard.
Not unless you want to.
Maybe someday, but for now, what are some like practical things that people can do like starting today?
Well, it really starts with just being more mindful of your choices, Think about your your next grocery shopping trip.
Okay, so I'm at the store.
Right, and you're looking at all the different products and packaging and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm already overwhelmed.
I know it's a lot to take in, but start by, looking for products that are packaged in sustainable materials.
Okay, so like cardboard instead of plastic.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or maybe there's an option to buy in bulk, and reduce packaging
That's
altogether.
a good idea.
And if you're, really committed, you can even reach out to companies, and let them
Mhm.
know that you care about sustainable packaging.
So like vote with our wallets.
Exactly. Exactly. Every little bit helps.
And what about all the packaging that we already have, like cluttering up our kitchens and stuff?
Right. Well, composting is a great option if it's available to you.
But not everyone has a compost bin, right?
True, but even if you don't have one at home, you can, see if there's a community garden nearby or maybe a composting program through your city.
Okay, that makes sense.
And for those who are, already composting pros, think about ways to take it to the next level. Maybe you could, start a composting program at your workplace or in your neighborhood.
I like that. So we're not just like passively composting, we're actively spreading the word.
Exactly. It's about creating a movement,
Yeah.
getting more people involved, raising awareness.
It's like that saying, think globally, act locally, but for packaging.
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah.
But okay, let's zoom out again for a second. We've talked a lot about packaging, but if biochar can really revolutionize this one industry, what other industries could it transform?
Ooh, that's a big question.
I know, right? I mean, we've touched on like construction and agriculture,
Right. And those are huge areas where biochar can make a real difference.
but it feels like it could go even further than that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about a material that can, filter water, remediate contaminated soil, even generate renewable energy.
Wait, hold on. Renewable energy, like biochar-powered cars?
Maybe not cars, but researchers are exploring ways to convert biochar into biofuels and even use it in batteries.
Wow. So we're talking about like a potential solution to some of the biggest challenges facing humanity.
Exactly. Climate change, pollution, resource depletion. Biochar could play a role in tackling all of these.
It's mind-blowing.
It is, and that's what makes Beyond Sustainable so inspiring. They're not just, selling a product, they're offering a vision of a truly regenerative future.
A future where waste is seen as a valuable resource, where industries work in harmony with nature, where packaging actually contributes to a healthier planet.
It's a beautiful vision.
It is. It is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a challenge, right?
Yeah.
What small step can you take today to support the biochar revolution? Maybe it's, choosing a sustainably packaged product, starting a compost bin, or even just sharing this deep dive with someone who needs to hear it.
Yeah, tell your friends, tell your family.
Spread the word.
Every little bit helps.
Because together we can create a wave of change that transforms our relationship with the planet.
I love that.
Me too. So thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. We hope you've learned something new, been inspired to think differently, and maybe even discovered a newfound appreciation for the humble package.
And the amazing potential of biochar.
Exactly. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries of